Time to take a look at some of the waiver wire options that await you heading into week 10. We have reached the double-digit weeks. Man, it goes very quickly. But let's look, starting at the quarterback spot, Drew Lock, who's been out there for a couple of weeks, is a nice option for you. Jared Goff, Tua Tagovailoa, who we talked about a little bit earlier in the show. At running back, your options include Duke Johnson, Joshua Kelly, Kalen Ballage, who might be the next on the list of Adam Gay's expats to go and have some success. J.D. McKissick, who's getting work there in Washington as well. Turning our attention to the wide receivers, Nelson Aguilar. Okay, we can stop with the jokes. I mean, except for that one gif, the guy with his bug eyes. That's still funny. But the Aguilar's playing well. He's out there. Curtis Samuel talked about at the top of the show. Jakeem Grant, depending on how serious the injury is, with Preston Williams down in Miami. At tight end, you got Jordan Reed and Irv Smith. And if you're looking for a defense to stream, the Philadelphia Eagles have a very nice matchup coming up this week. I want to go back, though, to the quarterback spot. And I've talked about Drew Lock a lot the last couple of weeks. We talked about Tua already in this show. Jared Goff, though, and I know he's sort of been up and down, but he's a guy with a very favorable matchup this week. And at least for 1 week, I think could be a pretty solid streaming option for you.
You think? I'm still a little spooked because of that performance before their bye week against the Miami Dolphins. Now we've seen that the Dolphins defense is actually legit, so it kind of makes sense why Jared Goff was completely shut down. But you're right, he's been a little bit volatile, a lot of up and down. But again, you made a point. His next game is against the Seattle Seahawks, and then he takes on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So maybe next week he is a streaming option, even though he's only had 3 games with over 23 fantasy points, Marcus?
I think he's a streaming option because, one, we have seen the Seahawks just are giving up so many yards and so many touchdowns through the air that is sort of reassuring. And combine it with the fact that Seattle doesn't give up much on the ground. And I know that the Rams want to try to run the football, but if they can't, then they're going to have to put the game in Goff's hands. So I still think that your best options for streaming, I think it's some combination of Drew Lock and Tua are your top 2 guys. But if none of those guys are available, if Jared Goff is still hanging around out there and he's available in nearly 55% of NFL.com leagues, then I think you can sort of plug him in there and hope for about 18, 19 points. Because again, look, if you're streaming a quarterback, I think you want to get around 18 to 20 points, and anything more than that, you can consider gravy. So while I understand the consternation about Jared Goff, I think this is a week that you can kind of give him some run and see what he gets for you. The other one is Irv Smith, and time and again we get to this part of the year and we are reminded that tight end is sort of a struggle. And Irv Smith, who I think a lot of us were waiting for, finally looks like he's coming together. And so for anybody who needs tight end help, and look, granted, Travis Kelce's on a bye this week, so a lot of folks are going to be hurting at that spot. Irv Smith looks like he may be getting some attention in the Minnesota offense.
I love this. And you have to look, yes, he only had, 10 receiving yards, but he did get 2 touchdowns. And that's what we want as fantasy managers. We want to get those points, and that's what he gave us. Now, speaking of the tight end position, like you said, Travis Kelce, he's out on a bye this week. George Kittle, presumably out for the rest of the season. Noah Fant yesterday left the game for a little bit because he was a little bit banged up. Thankfully, he came back into the game. If you guys could have seen my face once Noah went out, because I am so stretched thin at the tight end positions, and I just only load up on Iowa Hawkeye tight ends. I was pulling my hair. No wonder my hair is so slick back today. It's because I was like this the entire time. So if you are like me and you were irresponsible as a fantasy manager at the tight end position, I think you can absolutely go out and target Irv Smith as well as Logan Thomas. So there's some good tight ends that I think are still available in most NFL.com leagues.
While I'm happy for Noah Fant that he was able to come back into the game and whatever happened didn't appear to be serious, it did rob me of the opportunity to come on this podcast and say the name Albert Okwuegbunam. I was bound to just shoehorn that thing into this show because I had spent so much time this offseason practicing how to say Okwuegbunam. And I did not. I really thought we were going to be able to talk about him, as a pickup this week. But it's good to see Fant is healthy. He's back out there. He's a big part of the Broncos passing game, and he really has become an important part in fantasy as well. If you are making a waiver claim, if you have top priority this week on your waiver wire, where are you focusing your efforts?
Well, the news of Christian McCaffrey, the news heard around the world, the news around heard the fantasy world. Now that's got me completely shook up because I do have a few shares of Christian McCaffrey, and I've been kind of playing around the running back position this entire season. But I have to look ahead to the playoffs. Because of that, this is a little risky, but not actually because he's really good this week. I want to look to go get J.D. McKissic. Now, I know later on in the show, I don't want to tease it too much. We're going to talk about which guy do you trust more, Antonio Gibson or McKissic. But I'm rocking with McKissic on this one because of his performance this week. I'm really stretched thin at the running back position. So I think I'm going to go out there, risk it for the biscuit, McKissic. Oh, that was good. No?
Bars.
I'm a rapper.
Dropping bars. J.D. McKissic actually is getting a lot of snaps in Washington, and you're right. We will talk about this in the next segment, because for this reason that McKissic's playing a lot, and it is sort of clouding the situation back there between he and Antonio Gibson. So that definitely makes sense. I want to go with Tua because of a couple of the teams that are on a bye. The Chiefs are on a bye. The Falcons are on a bye, which means Patrick Mahomes is not playing. It means that Matt Ryan is not playing for anybody that's rostered him or has been starting him the last few weeks. So I think needing a quarterback is going to be important. I like what Tua brought. I like the fact that he's got the Chargers as a matchup. And I like that he's a guy that potentially has some staying power in a year where we've already seen two of the rookie quarterbacks go out and do well in Joe Burrow and Justin Herbert. Maybe Tua can sort of take that next step as well. So I would try to spend a lot of my energy seeing how I could get him off the waiver wire in spots where he is available.